Hi, welcome to another live today. Today's topic is going to be how to help your partner heal emotionally. And this is something that a lot of women struggle with and reach out to me to discuss, or I hear a lot of women talk about this, is this whole idea that they are working on themselves. They're doing all this self-development, maybe they're going to therapy, they're doing coaching, they're doing all these things to better themselves and maybe better their relationship, but the man at his end, he's not reciprocating, right? He's not doing the same kind of self-development or healing his wounds specifically or healing emotionally. And this can cause a lot of frustration or resentment in us if that's something that you're dealing with specifically in your own relationship. And I know I've struggled with this in the past too, but I want to share with you guys today 3 things that you can do to help your man heal emotionally, to help your spouse, your partner in the situation to help themselves, because ultimately no one can make someone else heal. No one can force someone to do personal development. No one can coerce someone into going into therapy. I mean, you can try, technically you can, but that could be met with a lot of resistance. You might create a lot of resentment in your relationship, or sometimes the person's even going to double down and just do more of what they're doing that you don't like, right? In terms of retaliation. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, we all have egos too. So we've got to consider that in the other person, just like we work on that as part of our own self-development journey too, right? And I'm going to hop into those 3 things soon. I know you don't want to hear me rant like all afternoon long on this, but this has been building up in my mind. The other thing I wanted to say about this is that I almost feel like this is a dark side of personal development that I don't see a lot of people talk about. So this whole idea that a lot of times when we are doing the self-development, and again, I'm guilty of this, I thought this way too, and people have told me that I've come off that way too, is that when we're doing self-development, when we're working on ourselves, we seem to sometimes get into the trap of putting the expectation that other people should also be doing, personal growth and being on a growth journey. And because we're doing it, other people should do it too. And it can give off that air that, to some people who might, feel more self-conscious about it, or maybe just not be into this stuff, this air of, it might feel patronizing. I'll just put it that way, right? So we want to be careful with our self-development in terms of not imposing this necessarily on other people, because we see the benefits, right? Like I've seen huge benefits from all the self-development work that I do, all the coaching I do with my clients. There's so much growth there. So just out of good intention, we want everyone, especially our partners, our husband, the man we love, we want them to benefit from those same positive experiences and get those same results that we're getting. But at the end of the day, everyone is on their own journey. And like I said, we can't necessarily make our partner heal or push them on that self-development journey, but there are 3 things that I'll share with you that we can do to support that and create the environment to actually get them more likely to be interested or be curious in this. And one of the big game changers for me in my own situation was that when I went, and this goes into number 1, so I'll just dive into number 1 right away. One of the biggest game changers, realizations, aha moments for me on my own journey while I was in a relationship, as I wanted to really turn my relationship around after we started going downhill and started struggling more, was this realization that there are just so many things that I can control. Like, you have your own center of influence, as Steve Covey would say, right? Like your own locus of control that you can influence. And the best thing that you can do to help other people, because like I said, you can't force other people to change. And really, forcing other people to change doesn't even feel good to you at the end of the day, right? We think it's going to make us feel good, but it's not. The best thing you can do is lead by example. So number 1 is going to be set an example for personal development. So like I was saying earlier on, be careful with that slippery slope of making it seem like, you think it's better that they do personal development, like you're better kind of thing. You don't want to kind of set the example in a way that brings up guilt or blame or shame for them, but setting the example and just staying in your own lane and focusing on yourself is what's going to expand that influence, and create that environment where it becomes kind of interesting for the other person to want to explore that. And when they see the benefits that you experience, I always say, like, I'm not to be cold here, but I always say, like, you know what, like, it's up to other people if they want to change or not. It's not that I don't care. Like, if I'm being brutal or just to get your attention, I could say something like, I don't care. But really, it's not that I don't care. It's just that I believe that the example is going to be more powerful. I care in a way that instead of trying to make someone heal or, encourage them maybe a bit too much to heal, I don't focus on the other person, whether or not they want to heal or don't want to heal. I did not focus when I did all this work for myself over 3 years ago now, just starting to implement all these tools. I did not care, all right, if my partner healed or changed or whatnot. All I cared about was the example that I was putting out there for him to see and for everyone to see, right, in all aspects of my life. It wasn't about me so much changing someone or encouraging someone to do something. It was setting that example and being like that lighthouse, that people will say. It was really about setting that example, because that is where they get also their power, right? You let them make their own decision by seeing proof and evidence of all the changes that come from healing yourself, right? So it's not going to be by telling them they should do this, creating ultimatums, right? Sending them research or giving them, really putting pressure on them. It's going to be by really doing it yourself and for yourself. That's where you're going to see the best results. Number 2, it's going to be by creating a safe space for them to heal. That is like such a huge part of it too, because when we're healing, as you know, a lot of sensitivities can come up. A lot of vulnerability is involved, right? There's going to be a lot of hurt from the past. There may be some wounded ego there. So the more we can create an environment for our partner to be safe to open up and to want to explore that side of them, the better it's going to be. And I'm not saying, like, by number 1, leading by example, is that you just totally ignore the other person or just sit there and pray that one day they're going to heal and they're going to buy that self-development book, and that they're actually going to go through with it. There are ways that you can do it a lot more subtly and in a way that I like calling it planting seeds all the time when I work with clients, right? You kind of just plant the seed. So you can ask them, you can ask if there's anything they want to talk about. And what's going to be very important in creating that safe space is going to be your reaction and your response to what they share with you or what they don't want to share with you. A huge, huge tool in relationships, like, write this down, is going to be to accept when someone says no, your partner says no, or doesn't want to talk about something. Giving him that gift that it's okay to not open up right now without having a triggered or frustrated response. You can totally feel that way. I am all about feeling the negative emotions, but it's going to be about working through them again, as part of your own healing journey, as part of your own managing your nervous system, right? And the more your partner can see that it's safe for him to be however he wants to be, to go down that self-development path or healing path or not, or take it really slow or do it a different way than you might be doing it, that's when you create that environment, like I said, that's safe for your partner to do these things. And it's when you listen and you're curious, and you see whatever level they're at when it comes to sharing, that's when you're going to see the biggest benefits. So you can always, just, very softly ask, get curious, and you're going to want to make sure to listen as much as the person wants to open up. Maybe you even ask permission before you ask too many questions or look into it. But like I said, you really want to create that safe environment. And number 3, and I kind of talked about this, so I'm just going to wrap it all up in the number 3 here, is going to be, like I said, not to put pressure, not to create ultimatums. I never recommend to tell someone, okay, go to therapy or else, or you should go to therapy, right? Again, these can be very difficult for someone to hear. All right, just to put it simply. And again, you don't want to, there are ways, like I said, either to plant seeds or do it more subtly, but I would really avoid that. Like oftentimes it's going to be perceived as, it could be received as blame or perceived as blame, especially depending what's going on in the relationship. If there's a lot of defensiveness, if there is a lot of shame involved, right? A lot of finger pointing, just going there might not be the best approach, especially at the beginning, right? There are other ways to do that. And it's like, it's almost guaranteed that it, depending where you're at in the stage in the arguing or going downhill in the relationship, that's a sure way a lot of times to make your man like shut down and to stop communicating so much, and then even distancing himself. So you'll want to be really careful with that. So those are the 3 ways. And just one thing to wrap this up. So number 1, let's recap. Number 1, do it by example, right? Set the example, work on your own healing journey. Number 2, create a safe space for him to heal, right? Really work on your own triggers. Being able to listen and hold space for your man as he's healing is going to be crucial. And the last one, right? Avoid as much as possible pushing him towards doing the self-development work, right? Or going down that personal growth journey. Those are the 3 ways. And the thing I wanted to say to kind of wrap this up, and it goes back to even setting your own example, right? One of the important things here is that a lot of times what's going on in a relationship can be a mirror of what's going on within us. And it's going to be really important for you to really work on your own healing journey. And you'll know where you are based on how much you are triggered by your spouse, by your husband, right? So the best thing you can do is really look inside in terms of what you can control, right? And to remember that wanting to heal your man or your man healing is not a guarantee that it's going to heal you. That's not how you heal yourself, is by other people changing their behaviors. So just remember that. Like I shared that with a client recently, where it's almost like, when things keep coming up and you're still triggered by them, it's almost like a gift from the universe, right? It's like, it's a reminder that, oh yeah, okay, I still have healing work to do on this. Oh yeah, okay, right? If we just remove the trigger, and in certain cases, I mean, there are different levels of trigger here, I understand that, but removing the trigger is not going to remove the wound. So just remember that too. When you're desiring your man to change, it's not necessarily, that might not be the root cause of what's going on. It might help, obviously, it's going to make things easier, but things being easier is not what helps you grow. So if you're on a personal development, personal growth journey, remember that, not that it has to be hard, but when things are challenging, it's a bigger opportunity for you to grow more, all right? And another thing to really be aware of, and that's really a big part of where I bring my women back, is to really be clear on, what do you mean by healing? Okay, what does that, it's such a broad term. We hear it all over. It's almost like a buzzword. I don't want to minimize it by saying that, but it's such a broad term that it gets very hard to describe and track and measure your progress and how well you're doing. And when something's so wide and broad and open like that, it's hard for you to feel motivated to keep going, right? Because you can't even, there's nothing to, it almost feels like there's nothing to show for it. So a lot of times my job is to help women realize, okay, this has changed, and to kind of call out some of these things so that sense of progress is there, and that momentum can keep going, and there can be that satisfaction, right? That dopamine hit from these little things that are changing towards that healing experience in their life. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. This was something that was on my mind, and like I said, something that comes up a lot in terms of in terms of relationship and the women who reach out to me. So I hope this was useful. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, go in the comments, reach out to me in the DMs. And good luck on your healing journey. Keep going strong. And just remember to create that space for your partner. And the more you do it, the more, I've seen it in my own experience, the more it's going to rub off on other people, and you will see the magic happen. So take care, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.